No.
That's one of our signature faces.
Yeah.
Very expressive, definitely.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway.
Hello to everyone and welcome back to this week's Popcorn and Beers. Hopefully some of you are following the Sad Fan on Instagram and you saw the reel we put out. We've got a huge guest star coming to do some guest spots on a couple shows we have. Natasha Sebastiani is looking to join the Sad Fan team at some point, so we are very excited about that and her cameos that she'll be doing on some of the shows for us. So that's the big news. Let's get back to the movie theater. And where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs, we use the stuff that gets you drunk. Really wish I hadn't shaken that right before I did it, but nothing bad happened. So it's all good. Now, you ever do that? Where you go to grab something, you're not like cognizant of what you're doing. You kind of give it a little shake, and you're like, ah.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, all right, well, this is my life now, and I just try to get to it as fast as I can. Just commit to it.
As fast as you get.
No, I'm not do that.
It was on
You're
purpose. Did you guys laugh?
Yeah.
You're like, uh-oh, it's a party now.
Then you got to do shotguns, and it's a long road ahead,
Like,
you know?
I'm that guy. I'm the party starter guy. Let's start in the usual place in what we were watching this week. There was a New York Times best-selling book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Bleep. You can fill in the blank if you'd like. It was a film adaptation of this on Netflix done by Universal Studios. So I watched it, and it's a lot of what I teach my students, right? It's about accountability and how you have a false sense of entitlement, whether you realize it or not, and a lot of self-awareness speak, where it's you can decide what kind of person you are, but it's all about perspective, right? And too many times people believe they deserve something and look for escapism in that and don't want to be responsible for what happens in their own life. And an election a while back gave people permission to say, it's not my fault, it's all these other people's fault, my life sucks.
Oh, just that one election?
And
that was the...
well, I mean, it's kind of going on right now in Florida, but we'll leave that one alone.
Downhill.
So, overall, it was documentary. It was about the guy's life, mainly. It wasn't enthralling. It was interesting. So I gave it a pop and one. Pop and one for the Luck. Luck is an animated feature on Apple TV+. The animation was okay. Right, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's Apple's first venture last year into animation and an animated film. And it was a good story. They go for the heartstrings quite a bit because it's a story about the foster system and what happens to children when they turn 18 and how some of us in life just, we tend to have bad luck, but without bad luck, we wouldn't have good luck. And I kind of like that message. You have to embrace both because you can't have one without the other. I think that's true.
That's good.
And I think
if we didn't have bad luck, we would have no luck at all.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the story for the girl, for the main character in the movie. It's a sweet story where she's kind of a big sister to the other young lady in the foster system that she's with. And she discovers through the trials and tribulations of finding, what comes with luck, that she actually respects and loves her bad luck because without it, she wouldn't have learned and grown so much within her life. So again,
I've been trying to get to watch that, but I lost my black cat to old age recently, so it's just been like, oh god, this is gonna break me down. So, but I've been really wanting to watch that one.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
good.
losing a member of your family, whether they're furry or skinned, it doesn't matter. It's still a member of your family. Well, with that, again, I gave it a pop and one. Then I watched a movie about the Hollywood cliches in Attack of the Hollywood Cliches with Rob Lowe. I gave it a pop and one. I don't have to go into it. You all know what a cliche is. It's the girl tripping and falling, women always running in heels, white savior, like all of these typical Hollywood cliches.
Yeah.
They go over them. They have a great studio audience. It's fun. It's funny. It's stuff we all know. Pop and one. Then we get to the good stuff. I watched CONAIR with Nicolas Cage.
Oh.
One of the more cagey Cage performance.
Mm-hmm.
with the Alabama accent.
Mm-hmm.
Put the bunny down.
My hands are
Don't
lethal weapons.
Don't treat women like that. Like all the classic lines. The launch of one of the most famous slow songs of the late 90s into the early 2000s, How Do I Breathe Without You?
Oh, boy.
Cyrus the Virus is one of the best villains of the 90s. In my opinion, John Malkovich playing Cyrus the Virus. The last thing your daughter will ever smell is my dirty, stinking breath. So it's just fantastic. Steve Buscemi playing the random philosophical killer, murdered 33 people up and down the states. The coroner wouldn't even touch one of the houses he went in. It's a classic 90s cheese action film. You know, one of the lines at the very end, I'm going to show you God does exist. It's so 90s cheese. It inspired me to try to do a handstand push-up. The very end of the movie, I don't know if you guys recall, or towards the middle when he's trying to get John Cusack's attention, the detective. Dave Chappelle gets thrown he gets unwedged from the landing gear, right? And he wrote a message on him. And as he's falling, you obviously see like terrible foreshadowing where Dave Chappelle's about to fall. And this old man has a bird crap on his windshield, right? And instead of using the sprayer, you know, the water spray to kind of get it cleaned up and get it wiped off, he grabs napkins from inside his car and reaches outside the car and cleans off the windshield. And I literally wrote, who cleans bird shit like that?
maybe his sprayer wasn't working. You don't know his life.
I don't know his life. That's very true. But then he brings it back. I don't know, because maybe he doesn't want to litter. But it was all gross to me. It was all disgusting to me. But still, I'm a sucker, as you guys know from some of my drunk classics, for some 90s cheddar, some 80s cheddar, some 70s cheddar. This is 100% 90s hardcore cheese. And I loved it, but it's still, I got to be honest with myself, it's still a poppin' one.
Still a poppin' one.
All right, Josh, what were you watching, sir?
Oh, well, I watched Ghost in the Shell, 1995 anime classic. Incredible film. I never saw it because when I was watching anime and I was like totally cool, like 14 years old, I was like, only the yuppies watch that one. That's like, it's too popular. I'm too cool for that. So I never watched it like an idiot.
I'm all
so
independent. I watch only independent animes.
Yeah, right? Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, we're ordering these VHSs off the black market. Like, but it's all edgy. Anyway, it's a great film, and you could see, like, I could see instantly, like, did this movie inspire, like, everything? It's direct reference to The Matrix, even though it came up. So The Matrix directly referenced Ghost in the Shell. The whole idea is there's a whole futuristic world where just about everyone's cybernetic in some way, sometimes entirely, with the only thing left of them being their soul. Your human soul your ghost can get put in the shell of a cybernetic organism and stuff. If
it's almost like Altered Carbon.
Yeah, very much like that. Yeah, but there's also just smaller ones, like her partner's half robot. He has fancy eyes, like Geordie LaForge. Okay. But she's a full robot with just a ghost. And if you've seen the new one, the American live-action remake with Scarlett Johansson, shout out Scarlett Johansson. The plot's similar, but you can tell with the American writing versus this 1995 Japanese writing, they go different routes with it. There was one big thing about, in the new one, Scarlett Johansson is white. And everyone was mad. She's playing a Japanese woman. And, well, let me just say, after finally watching the first one, we already knew she's playing a robot. She's not playing a white person or a Japanese woman. And also, in the original, there's no mention of who her original ghost is. It's not even there. It's not in the plot whatsoever. They just say she was a ghost. She is a ghost in a shell. So you don't even know if the original her was Japanese. And the robot, the main character, Major, she looks like Eastern European. Like
gotcha.
Anyway, so that's all. Yeah. Besides that bologna sausage, the action scenes were incredible. kind of slow. There was spaces in between where it's like, what's kind of happening? But what really overpowers everything is the scenery, and the world building was absolutely phenomenal. The soundtrack was haunting. It was like the whole time you're like, what is this world? So like you're in awe of all these super skyscrapers and all this dirt and cyberpunk funk. You're kind of just like okay with the huge exposition because you're looking at these beautiful images. So that's cool. Award-winning, fantastic movie. I give it a poppin' 2.
Hey, if you're a fan of Scarlett Johansson's version, then you might be looking forward to the live-action remake of Pocahontas starring Scarlett Johansson.
Is that real?
No.
So what was number 2, Josh?
Oh yeah, speaking of world building and stuff like that and being in awe of what you're watching, I watched The Green Knight, first time watch. My brother's always been into it, so he told me the story of The Green Knight when I was probably 7, and it was just haunting to me. There was something weird about it that I didn't quite understand, and it's really vague with what happens. So that's always stuck with me. Every once in a while I wonder about this story, and for some reason I never really looked it up. But the movie comes out. I can't wait to see it. I never got to see it because of COVID stuff. Finally saw it, and I was blown away. This is a popcorn and 3 movies for me. The takeaway quickly is that I didn't know exactly what the story was about as a kid and growing up. I still don't really quite know what the story is actually about. But The Green Knight is a story.
How can be a Papa Dream if you don't know what the story is about? I'm mad at you.
We're getting there.
I'm frustrated. No, I'm mad at you. Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is the Green Knight story is written by the unknown writer. I think that's what they're referred to, but we don't know who the author of this story is. And it's probably a retelling from, like the old stories that weren't written down. They were just passed along. So when it was finally written down, that's surely not the original Green Knight story. So it's a very, very old, over 1,000 years old story. And that's why no one really knows what it's about, because we can't connect to the culture of that time because a lot of it was eradicated or just faded away. And nothing was written down. So there's symbolism there that has always been interpreted this way or that way. I guess there was a Sean Connery film where he's the Green Knight in the 70s. This movie was a retelling, and they added their own interpretations. And I think they did a great job of holding the old mystery, but also giving it a pretty solid grounding in what we would consider narrative as opposed to what they did back then. The movie was absolutely beautiful. Every single shot was absolutely incredible, and it was just laden with symbolism throughout. A lot of that symbolism is not obvious. I went into a deep dive and watched a bunch of videos of like what this means, what that means. The story is about learning how to be an honorable person, I guess, sort of. That's part of it.
I get that. I get that.
It kind of slogged on if you weren't into this, but like I said, I was already bewitched because I've been thinking about this story since I was a kid. So I was already enthralled, and then every scene, it's so intentional. Everything about it was just beautiful. $15 million to make this movie, and they made it an absolute masterpiece of the eye. The dialogue, a lot of it was extremely cryptic, and you don't even know exactly why they're saying what they're saying or why they're saying it the way they're saying it. But it was all so intentional. I would watch this movie. I mean, I would keep watching this movie over and over. I wouldn't be surprised if I watched this movie 30 times before I die. Great acting, incredible symbolism, like I said, wonderful visuals. I think they just went such a good way with it. It was a masterpiece. Popcorn and 3. I don't know.
No, I like it when you and I diverge on things. I thought the acting was terrible.
Really?
Just awful.
Yeah,
I'm so sensitive. Look at me. What do? I'll fight him, but I'm a little scared. I'll hack off his head with one chop. Oh no, I'm gonna die. Like it was awful acting, in my opinion. The main character was terrible. It was
acting or the writing?
I think it was the overacting, the overemphasis. I think I should convey this emotion. I think I should be extra.
Okay.
Oh my God. There's a scene where where they're in the bedroom, and that scene was so overly dramatic that I was like, this is stupid. Like, they're just going for it too hard. It's overly dramatic. And then she looks at him like, you disgust me. And I'm like,
Okay. I see what you're saying,
Patel.
but I think there's a certain scope that it has to be looked on, and I would say Shakespearean. However, this predates Shakespeare. There's a certain way. Is extremely theatric, like you said. Yeah, over the top. I think that was very intentional, and you can't look at this movie from that scope if you want to like it, I guess. I see what you're saying, though. I definitely was over dramatic. Yeah,
I think that this is a situation where expectations will be the downfall of us all. Because, like you, Josh, I was very excited and I watched it, and it was from the beginning. I was in. Okay, cool. He gets an easy win. He wanted to prove himself. He wanted to stand out in Arthur's eyes. He wanted to be the tough guy, and he killed a tree.
Yeah.
You want to be the big man? You want to be the big man?
Big boy pants.
Pop.
Yeah.
Big boy pants with your big boy belt. There's a lot of different stories going on, like Josh said. There's a lot of different pieces that are moving. I don't think the plot ever really found its footing. I think if they had just stuck with the initial plot device at the very beginning of him trying to prove himself, that's what he's going for, as opposed to, and I'm sure they stuck to the story. I'm sure they stuck to the epic. I'm sure they did. But in Hollywood, when you're making a movie, there's a reason why The Odyssey is not the best movie ever.
Right.
Okay? Because there's just too many stories to follow. You got to pick a story in that epic novel and go with that story. Like, that's how a movie works. You can't tell every single story that's in the epic. Like, in Romeo and Juliet, it's cut like crazy. It's written for screen. It's not page by page. It can't be page by page. So every story, like the giants in the Green Knight, like I didn't need that. And I was very excited about that story. That story lasts that long in the movie. And in the trailer, and then in the trailer, it was a very like prevalent scene in the trailer. So I had an expectation that they were going to go into there. They're going to spend more time on that trial. It was interesting when they're speaking to him. I thought the conversation could have been longer, better acted. It was visually beautiful. It was. You're right. The scenery was good. Whoever was the site scouts did a great job. But overall, for me, it's a poppin' one. It could have been better. Is really. Sure. And I told you, I was like, this could have been 30 minutes, in my opinion.
So it's about the failings of man and what honor means and what you bring to the table and how you can be honest with yourself and live with your mistakes and live with the consequences thereof. I appreciate A24 for allowing a weird movie like this to be made. That's what I love about.
Probably the best studio around right now, to be honest.
They make such movies that would never have hit the screen ever.
Yeah, they make some garbage sometimes, but that's what, like I said, it's like 1 out of every 5 A24 movies is like one of the best movies you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So Jordan, you liked Green Knight.
It was okay. I'd give it a pop 2.
Pop 2.
So 1 better than
1, 2, 3.
Just visually and stuff. I mean, yeah, I get it though. The plot, it gets very convoluted and just a bit too much. And I don't like the super anti giving you closure and like complete closure movie when they're like really trying not to do that for you. It's like, come on, give me something.
I don't like the crybaby antagonist, man. I can't do it. Like, I can handle like trials and tribulations, and sometimes life sucks, but not a single the whole way through the
brooding.
You're like, shut up, man. Like, okay, you're gonna feel everything. Oh, I'm such a bad person. Like the whole damn movie.
Yeah, and
like, dude.
And then like crescendos at the very end, like, no, I'm a bitch. I'm out of here. I'm sorry, I'm a bitch. I'm going.
It's just hard. Like the very like. Okay, I can follow this. And it's the moment he gets his ass whooped by 3 little kids, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. Hey, I can't.
Lucky for you,
got your ass whooped.
I am an honorable man. Honorable.
Jordan, what were you watching this week?
So I got some TV watching in. I finally finished season 2 of Yellowjackets. It's on Showtime. Yeah, it's on Showtime, so therefore it's on Paramount Plus as well.
Paramount Plus.
Okay, yeah. This is, I would argue this strongly. This is the best show running on TV right now, and you can get in early right now. 2nd season, short seasons, like 8-9 episodes, I believe. Hour-long episodes, but just fantastic. Quick plot summary. A bunch of girls, high school soccer team. They're on their way to, I don't know, national tournament or state tournament or something like that. And their plane crashes in like the Appalachian wilderness or something.
Lord of the Flies style?
Yes, and they go straight Lord of the Flies, wilderness cult for survival. And it's just like a story that goes back and forth between them in that situation and them as adults and how they've kind of tried to cope and adapt with that. This season opens up a lot of threads to more seasons. You get a little bit of closure on a couple things, but it just opens up a lot more threads. This show's not for the faint of heart. It's very gruesome, very graphic. The teenage actors, who are all relatively unknown, just kill it. They steal the show from the adult actors who are a lot of, big time stars. It's starring Juliette Lewis, Melanie Linsky.
Okay.
If you know who that is. Yeah, she's a recognizable face if you saw her. Christina Ricci. Yes.
Christina Ricci.
Gotcha. Okay.
Christina Ricci, yeah. But, they get outshined. They get outshined big time by the teenagers.
The oddest great career ever.
Christina Ricci?
Yeah, oddest great career of all time.
Oddest, incredible career. But, she's throwing out some weird curveballs. And everyone's, fine with it. You know what I mean?
You remember Pumpkin?
What's Pumpkin?
Yeah. I've seen that show.
I remember Black Snake Moan.
Black Snake Moan. Weird.
But she's an incredible actor. I mean, even when she's in bad movies, she's incredible. She's my first crush as a Casper, the friendly ghost.
Yeah, Casper.
She's great. I love her. I don't like Juliette Lewis. I'm not going to bag on her hard, but she just kind of looks like a slightly drunk woman that just stumbled her way onto a set.
Yeah, like Ethan Hawke. Okay, I'm here. Let's give me the script.
Do it.
This season introduces Elijah Wood to the cast.
Nice.
And he's pretty good. Yeah. He's very creepy and good in this, and you don't know what his intentions are throughout the whole thing. So he's a good addition. The season finale features the worst song I think I've ever heard in my life, and I hesitate to even call it a song. It is super duper strange. And I'm gonna look this up and drop this on maybe the next episode. I'm gonna quickly so you guys can listen to this if I can find it. But it's just it's at a pretty tense moment, and it just takes you out of everything. It's like, whoa. Let me fast forward through this.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, excellent gripping TV. I give it a pop 3 so far. Both seasons, 1 and 2.
Okay.
My next couple are some comedy specials. I got my stand-up comedy on.
Ooh.
First up was Amy Schumer, Emergency Contact. She gets a lot of hate, Amy Schumer. She's a very polarizing figure, but I love her movies. I love specifically Trainwreck, and she's it's fantastic. I've seen that movie a lot of times. I don't know. I can give it rough as
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
His acting is horrible in that movie.
John Cena's great in that movie.
Yeah, John Cena steals the movie. Yeah.
Schumer steals jokes though, so she deserves all the hate.
It's part of the rap on her, yeah. But she has a couple of the funniest female stand-up comedy specials I've seen. I don't know them off the top of my head, but her first couple big ones that she came out with are just
I remember those.
Classic.
They're good.
Classic. But she also has one of the worst specials, period, I've ever seen. And this one is pretty lazy in that it falls into the latter category. It's pretty lazy and unimaginative. She does a lot of talking to the camera, and the cameraman specifically, he calls him by name. Like, hey, Sean, get a shot of this. Get a shot of my butt, or get a shot of my calves here. And then he proceeds to zoom in on them very closely. And there's just a lot of wonky cutting and editing in this that makes it even harder for some of you to sit through a little bit of it. So I give this a popcorn.
Popcorn.
Okay.
Look at that. Look at it.
Yeah. Next, I watched something, also as stand-up as well, but kind of the polar opposite. Sarah Silverman, Someone You Love, on Max.
Go!
On Max. Oh, sorry. Amy Schumer's on Netflix, if you want to watch that. Sarah Silverman on Max. The intro, and I love when comedians have this, sets it up their special perfectly. When they have a good skit, when it's not too much,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like something funny, just something a little bit funny going on before they go on stage. Hers is great, super duper funny, sets it up perfectly.
Okay.
And not to objectify her, but come on, she is smoking hot.
Smoke show.
Sarah Silverman is smoking hot.
She's been
but
great
she also,
forever. She's been great forever. Like when she did the roast, like she's funny because she pokes fun at herself a lot, and I dig it. And I like that she opened with this. Yeah, she is. She is, and I like that she opened her special with a sketch because remember she had the Sarah Silverman show on Comedy Central.
Fantastic show.
I love it, and she's she's super. She can be super vulgar but intelligent. Super intelligent at the same time, and that's like you kind of like your favorite comedians. A lot of times, the jokes are like vulgar, funny, bad, hilarious when you can't repeat their best bits out loud.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can't say that out loud, but it's funny. You should watch it. But she doesn't get enough credit for how masterful she is and just how comfortable she is on stage. It makes you feel at ease watching her. It's kind of like watching, I guess, Dave Chappelle, but Dave Chappelle's newest stuff is a little bit too preachy. But anyways, back to Sarah Silverman. It's mostly about religion. The whole thing. It's about her being Jewish, obviously, but she pokes at a lot of religious stuff. Of my favorite bit, after you watch this, your new favorite word will be moral compass. After watching this, sounds confusing.
Moral compass.
I can't explain to you again. I can't explain to you on this show why your new favorite word will be moral compass. But watch it and you'll quickly learn. Stay for the piano ballad at the end. I hate when these. It's like, oh God, really? I was very close to turning it off, and then I caught like a punchline within it when I was kind of not paying attention, and I was like, oh my God. So I sat through the whole thing, and it's great. Popcorn and two.
I love Sarah Silverman. She's got a great podcast, and she's on Broadway now with her bedwetter. She's doing big things.
Yeah, she's great. She's fantastic. She's always been one of my favorites. Anything she's been a part of, she's been probably like the star. She stands out the most.
So I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I won't get into why there are two versions of the Justice League, mostly because I don't know all the details on why.
Yeah, I do.
Can you? What is it?
Can you keep it in our chat?
Can you keep it short for me?
Yeah, I'll keep it as short as possible. Basically, but there's a producer there that tries to like write the movies, and he likes to show off that he has control over the movies, and if they don't put stuff in the movies that he wants, he'll like end the movie.
Yeah,
and he did that to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah. Essentially, he did that to Zack Snyder's Justice League. He was telling him what he wanted in the movie, what he wanted edited out. So Warner Brothers is pretty famous for that, telling their directors what should stay in the movie and what should come out.
Oh, so then Joss Whedon took over and made the first movie. He like pieced together what he could to make the first one, and then Zack Snyder came back and made his version, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, they might have done right to cut a little bit of this out because it is over 4 hours long. That being said, I couldn't tell you what could have been cut out to make this still make sense, because there's just like you said earlier in the show, there is a lot of stories trying to be told. And the problem with the original one, it seemed like, is some key characters, they were relegated to just background characters. They didn't get the even a fraction. They didn't get a fraction of the shine they deserve. Specifically talking about Cyborg, who seems just like
Martian Manhunter.
That's a bit that could have been just completely left out of this movie. Yeah, he was left out of the first one. He has a very short scene that's very inconsequential, and then he has a cut scene at the end of the movie that is also pretty lame and inconsequential. Okay, you get an awkward intro of Martian Manhunter, a mention of some Green Lanterns, just a mention, and you get one Amber Turd. So I've only seen the original one time when it came out. I think I saw it in theater. I had no time or desire to see it again. Couldn't remember a single detail about it, like any real consequential detail about the original Justice League movie. The opening credits of this movie threw me a bit. I was like, oh God, what did I get myself into? Do I have to do this? And then as well as seeing the 4-hour runtime, it's really like, oh God, you have to be like, no, stick through it. But it didn't feel like 4 hours, and I don't regret watching this. This is a much more sound movie, and I liked it. I have an understanding of these characters and a little bit more of an appreciation. And I bought into, I had low expectations for our Butter on Top movie, but I bought into the universe a little bit more, like just enough. There's too much chanting and yodeling, moaning music. Yeah, every time. And I forget
every time
the
Wonder
caption.
Woman's on screen.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. It's like cue it up. Music. Yeah. Too much of that. Too much slow motion in just random unnecessary places. Yeah. I mean, they do it a lot in theFlash because they're trying to show you that, he's moving fast.
That's just
relative to everything around him. But every character, it's like, okay, here's the Batman's big slow motion scene, and here's Cyborg's big slow motion scene, and then it seems like they just abandon it. Like once everyone gets their slow motion scene, they kind of just abandon that, and you don't see it the rest of the movie, and you're like, okay, I guess this is good, but it's weirdly noticeable. There's a funny line. The Flash and Cyborg are having a funny banter, and it's when the Wonder Woman first shows up, and he's like, the Flash says, do you think she'd ever go for a younger guy? And Cyborg's like, dude, she's 5,000 years old. Every guy is a younger guy. Pretty funny. Beefcake Batfleck. That's what I call him. Yeah. He looks like he's like,
pulling tires.
After this, man, just got a Dunkin' Donuts. That's my bad Boston accent.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Dunkin' Donuts, man. He's not a bad Batman. Not a bad Batman. Actually, a good Bruce Wayne. A bad looking Batman, but I think a really good Bruce
that cowl
Wayne.
Is just.
Yeah, it just looks beefed up, like he's coming off a cycle or something. Cyborg CGI is really, really bad. Up there, like in my top, like just memorable off the top of my head. If someone asked me a year from now, what's the top 5 worst CGI you've ever seen? Cyborg and Justice League is up there. The epilogue scene is a lot to take in. That's all I'll say about that. Pop into.
Pop into.
Right on. I'm glad you finally got to it, though, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. I watched it over COVID because I was dying inside. So, speaking of dying inside during COVID, our drunk classic was Seeking a Friend for the End. And I love this movie, but I love it because it tugs at all the right heartstrings, I think. Like I think it sends the right message. It was panned by critics. They didn't like it, but I don't think it was made for critics. I think it was made for humans.
Made for humans.
It wanted you to feel human. Like these are human problems. I love week 1. Everybody's still going to work and they're still offering people jobs.
Yeah.
The maid doesn't understand why he doesn't want her to come anymore.
Yeah.
And he gets and then week 2 he goes to his best friend's party and he goes, I got 13 of these bad boys. I'm going to share one with you tonight. He goes, babe, you don't think Jesus was drunk at the Last Supper? I thought those lines were perfect. The letter too late really was depressing. You obviously have the restaurant scene with TJ at Friendly's where they're very friendly.
Oh boy, that was great.
It tastes exactly what you would think a donut burger would taste like. How are your mudslides? Amazing. How is this? Oh my god, it's bleeping amazing. So a lot of that. You also, I like Sari. I thought Sari is a great character in the movie. I thought Sari helps the plot. Dr. Doomsday prepper scene is funny because he's basically trying to stack up on him. Like, yeah, she's mine, bro. You'll see. And then at the background of dinner with his father, Josh, when he finally gets to his father because he had a bad relationship with his father, and it's about mending fences at the end, and that's really what the movie is about. Is if at the end of the movie you're going to focus on what doesn't matter, or you're going to try to repair the things that do matter, right? But what made me laugh about that scene, and sorry, Jordan, there's a bit of an inside joke with Josh. Did you see what rum was on the back counter in the dad's house, or like the bar behind the table?
Was it Sailor Jerry's?
There's a bottle of Sailor Jerry's rum on the back table where they're all eating dinner.
I used to fund that company. I was the sole funding of that company for a long time.
Yes. Josh was a Sailor Jerry's guy for a while. So it made me think of you immediately. The car, you want one in the fleet, is great. Keira Knightley is so perfect for that role. She's so perfect for that role.
She's an
I loved her so much. Yeah, and she plays the innocent but ditzy but fiery character perfectly. The gentleman's wife that I was talking about, when she tries to make out with Dodge at the big party, and he's like, "No, you're so and so's," and she goes, "Nobody's anybody's anymore. Why don't I get what I want?" And then she goes, "Your wife got to run away from everything. Why can't I?"
Yeah.
So for me, it's a poppin' 2 for me. It's not quite a perfect movie, but it is a movie that pulls at your heartstrings. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I say popcorn 2 as well. I think it got panned because, I mean, okay, talking about death, it's not really going to fly all the time. A lot of folks just don't even like thinking about it. And this whole movie is dread and doom. Like, even up to the very end, I don't know about you guys, but I the first time I saw it, I was kind of like, is this really going to happen? And then, like, you know, I don't know, you're somehow surprised by the end of the world, even though that's what the movie's about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was just great. My only small thing is that, was the romance really necessary? Because he's like twice her age. And
it could have been a friendship.
They addressed that. It could have been a friendship. I don't think it's really hurt too bad. I don't think it would have hurt if they were just like deeply platonic, because they have a soul connection. Soul connections happen anywhere. Doesn't have to be romantic, but romantic is cool too. Kissing is fun. Falling in love is a great part of this movie that no one else in the movie world experienced. I loved how the writer said the inspiration came from 9/11, actually, because it was just a big wave of everyone kind of waking up and like, what have I been doing with my life? And people are having babies, people are breaking up, people are changing careers. It was just a wave of human experience that we all kind of went through in our own way. And that's what this movie is too. Everyone's experiencing the end of everything in their own way. We're doing Molly at a Friendly's, or we're just hanging out on our front porch, or doing the doomsday prep, denying it, whatever it is. I loved how the existential dread of the moment caused every human experience to happen in different ways. It was really cool world building. That's the whole movie, really, is just watching what everyone does and how humans deal with absolute tragedy, and blah 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 blah. It was beautiful. Shouts out Steve Carell.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan, what about you?
Popcorn 2 across the board. It looks like unanimous. Eat your heart out. Don't look up. This is what Don't Look Up should have tried to be a little bit more like. Or maybe this is what they thought they were making.
I haven't seen it. I'd like to see it now.
It's not good. Good, decent acting.
It's Adam McKay being not subtle.
Okay.
Yeah. It starts out perfect. The wife, just getting out of the car and running away. And Steve Carell.
I think we passed our exit.
Steve Carell seems like a thing. Like, you always have to put Steve Carell in a car with a lady and have this crazy interaction. Like 40-year-old virgin with let's get some freaking French toast. Or, what is it?
In The Office, it happened a lot.
Yeah. What is it? Is it Crazy? What movie is that? Crazy Stupid Love? Or I don't know. The one where Ryan Gosling.
Crazy Stupid Love.
Where he just, he's like, if you
Crazy
keep talking, I'm going to get out of the car. And he just opens the door and flops out onto the street. Yeah. Like, put Steve Carell in a car and it's comedy gold every time.
Yeah.
And then the lady at the party saying,
very funny
she's
movie.
like, oh, I'm sorry about what happened. I'm honestly surprised she didn't do it sooner. And then Keira Knightley like, oh man, you knew that lady? Her and her boyfriend seem so happy.
Yes. Like, so heartbreaking.
It's like, poor guy, man. He's still going to work, and they're like, well, I guess we're promoting someone to CFO. Does anybody want it? Anyone? Like nobody. Everyone's like,
oh boy, that woman's crying the whole time.
And you mentioned how you can't fire the poor oblivious cleaning lady, and there's so many little lines and just there's little details. I feel like if you watch this, back to back, you would like pick up some. You would pick up something every time you watch this movie, something new. And I just the best funny sad line is where I think he's talking to the cleaning lady, and he's like, okay, I regret my entire life. It's like a sour chuckle. You're like, I feel bad for this guy. Impending Apocalypse Life looks incredible. Sorry, I'm gonna put it out there. It looks fantastic. It's like I would
no responsibilities. You can't take anything with you.
Yeah, exactly. But like, would you want to go and live that life, or would you try to take some form of normalcy? Like, would you be the guy out there still mowing his lawn, the guy at the gym working out still?
I forgot about that guy.
Brandon?
I forgot about that guy.
Well, isn't that kind of what the movie's about? Like, take the apocalypse out of it and just wake up in this moment and think, is this how you want to live your life? And what do you really want to do? Go do it. That's what the
police officer.
Wrestling.
Yeah. Don't you think you can let us go in regards to the old?
No.
And she's like, no.
He's really serious about the quotas this month. Frye would be the guy in the gym, still working out.
That's it.
Delts.
That was so funny.
I think I'd work at Frenzies.
My favorite scene in the whole movie is the restaurant.
Yeah, that's where I'd end up probably. Yeah.
That looks
Let's
great.
just get after it. Where's the LSD? Let's put the music on. Or I'd be the guy who's like, I might as well. Let's do heroin and listen to Radiohead.
Keira Knightley's adorable. That's it. Popcorn and 2 for me.
Jordan, you watch Justice League to prepare for our butter on top Flash.
Flash, 100-yard dash.
What did you think?
It's a popcorn and 3.
Whoa.
No.
Really?
Sorry. No, popcorn and 2. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong one.
Popcorn and
2.
Okay.
It's a popcorn and 2 for me. I had low expectations for this movie. So I think that's why I gave it a pretty generous review. And I'm also not, I don't know that much about the Flash and his comic book origins, or I watched a little bit of the animated Justice League of like the 2000s that was out for a while. A good thing is there's not one mention of change in the hierarchy of power in the DC universe. If you got that reference to Black Adam and The Rock, when they were marketing the movie, everything was there's going to be a change in the hierarchy of power, and so it left off that it didn't take itself too seriously. Is my point with that.
Strong.
Stayed very light, as chaotic as it seemed. This whole movie seemed it didn't try to overreach. You had a multiverse going on. Could have used a little more explanation in some of the terms that they use. Like, what's the word that they use for like that bubble he goes into where he's like changing time?
The time
sphere.
The time sphere?
I had no clue. I'm oblivious to what that is or what that's supposed to mean to me, and they don't explain it. So I was a little lost on that, and it's very prominent in the movie. I don't want to give away too much of
Speed
Force.
Are you talking about when he has to enter the Speed Force?
When he's just in...
Because he's in a time sphere when they're just talking to each other and time's going around them. That's the time sphere, and they use the Speed Force to get to where they can change time or go back in time.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't want to give away cameos and all that. We obviously know Michael Keaton comes back as the Batman. He's great. I mean, is it believable that he moves the way he moves? No. But he just...
That's totally CGI, though. You could tell that.
It's just the suit and the way that they make his version of Batman move and fight. If you take Michael Keaton kind of out of the equation, sorry, he's great though. Great actor, good Batman. But just that his Batman is better in action sequences than Batfleck. Yeah, I give it a pop 2.
Pop 2.
All right. For me, I cannot support Ezra Miller based on some of the accusations that have been brought against him. Bad CGI was on purpose, everyone. The director came out and said it. And Josh was saying that's such a good cop-out when we were talking about it in the pre-production meeting, but I was like, wait till you see it. Wait till you watch it. You'll see it's so laughably bad that you will believe the director is telling the truth. Like, it was on purpose. It's to add that humorous note to the movie. To that point, enough already. Enough already. All right. Oh, I'll crack a joke every scene. Crack a joke. Oh, crack a joke. Oh, it's a joke. Oh, I'm sarcastic. Oh, look at me. Oh, a joke. And I'm like, it's dumb.
But he touches on that.
It's
You're not Spider-Man.
He touches on that when he argues with himself, and he's like, "Dude, not everything has to be a joke. Things have to be taken serious." I don't know.
Yeah, trying to come of age. Josh, you'll get this reference. Jordan, you probably won't because you said you don't know a lot about the Flash. It's way too much Wally Flash, like early Wally Flash and late Barry Flash, like when they redid Barry Allen to make him more like jokey and hit on Wonder Woman. He wasn't like that. The first Flash was a little bit more serious. He was a scientist, smart guy, one of the smarter members, and they made him this plucky guy with Wally. And then
they turned him into Spider-Man, or tried to. Yeah. Yeah,
and then they started to take Wally's character and blend it into Barry's character. And it's, for me, like I said in my notes, enough already. Too much. Mental health line that Ezra Miller delivers in regards to the Flash, where he says the Justice League still working on the mental health part. That line was telling because of all of his mental health struggles and what he's been going through. I did say the orchestra, for the most part, and sound mixing was amazing. I love that they didn't sexualize Kara's costume. I thought that was awesome.
I love that costume.
Yeah, her costume is amazing. They didn't sexualize her. They made her awesome. They made her mean. They made her a fierce fighter. So she didn't use any of the stereotypical female moves. You know, you've seen those specials, right? The stereotypical female action heroes.
The Black Widow pose.
She didn't do any of that. Yeah. The Black Widow wrapping the legs around the head and wrapping the legs around the arms and all that and jumping around. No, she just threw it down. She was throwing bows and
give it to you.
Yeah.
And it was good. Yes. I did like the orchestra. I thought the orchestra was great. Just too much sarcasm. I gave it a pop and 1 for me. I did love that they paid a lot of homage. So when you watch it, you'll see exactly what I mean by that. Some people don't know this story, but Nicolas Cage a while back bought the rights to Superman. And they shot an entire Superman movie that never got released.
Oh, yeah.
There's reference to that. There is reference to that in this movie. I'm not going to say what happens, but there's
I knew a little bit about that, but very vaguely. Like, I wasn't sure, like, maybe I didn't remember that right. But I have heard a little bit about that. So when that reference comes up, there was a lot of people in the theater, like, started cheering. Like, got a little hysterical, and I was like, what?
From the 80s.
What? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's from the 80s, dude.
90s.
It's from the... Yeah, is it? Then it's early 90s. It's like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the reference to that character was exactly, if you Google pictures of it, the reference to that character is exactly like they had it. The WB thing I was telling you about, Jordan. Well, one of the WB producers badly wanted to do a Spider-Man or a Superman movie with a spider as the villain, a giant spider, and it was with Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith very badly wanted to write a good Superman movie, but the producer wouldn't let him write the movie unless a spider was the villain. And Kevin Smith,
the same guy who did Wild West, right? Same guy. It's always a spider. Yeah.
So he finally, and I wrote my notes, the evil producer finally gets his way. So I guess WB Podcast won't be picking us up anytime soon. But he finally gets his way. We finally get a giant spider, and it was as ridiculous as you may have thought it would be. And Kevin Smith's whole argument was, there's no giant spider in the Superman universe. It doesn't exist. You want me to make up a fictional character. So for me, popping 1. I did like it, though, but I think we're going to get a little Oscar bait coming up, Josh, with our Butter on Top this week. Right?
Yeah, Wes Anderson for life. Wes Anderson's got a new show coming, Asteroid Cities. And, I just can't wait to see it. I guess you said you didn't like the trailer too much, but I think the trailer's right in line with every Wes Anderson trailer. It's like, what is happening? It's just hard shots and surprise dialogue that's out of context and showing you just the whole ensemble as fast as possible. And I just can't wait. I love Wes Anderson.
Star-studded cast. Cast. And to that note, Josh, you also have control of our Drunk Classic this week. What's that going to be?
Well, I was going to go into a Wes Anderson, make us watch 2 this week, but I think I'm just going to go complete curveball,
left field.
And we're going to watch Layer Cake.
Layer Cake.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen Layer Cake
I've
since
never even heard of that. I've never even heard of it.
Oh, Daniel Craig's the lead. Go watch. We're going to watch Layer Cake this week with Daniel Craig. It's early in his career.
Oh, I have heard of that. Now that I think of it,
I think it was sort of indie shot. Yeah. Great show. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great, and I think you guys have been great. We made a great announcement at the beginning of the show. Jordan, where can they contact the show?
On Twitter.
At Popcorn and Beer on Twitter. You could reach me at the SadFan12. Josh, where can they get you?
Oh, J.R. Berkeley on the gram or at Gorp Show. See when we're doing Gorp Show.
So come see us, contact us, interact with us, follow us, share us. We're here for you. And as always, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you at the movies. You get the popcorn and we'll get the beer.